like to welcome you to Get Out and Ride. And this is Jim Urban. This is my first episode. I'm just excited to have you here today. I actually have a special guest today that I'd like to introduce. Let's go ahead and introduce him right now. Ian Vanderbilt. Ian is actually a great friend of mine. We actually have gone out and done some riding ourselves together. And he's a great rider, by the way. But Ian actually works at a bicycle shop, so have a seat at my desk here, and we'll start talking about, I have some questions here for you about bicycling in general, and just some of the basics of bicycling. I want to spend a few minutes with you talking about that. Okay. Since you do work at a bicycle shop, and I would consider you to be somewhat of an expert because of that.
That'd be not only.
So, for the audience, let's talk a little bit about the clip-ins. You know, when you're first getting on bikes, if you haven't been on a bike in a while, we have these things on our pedals, in these shoes that actually clip into our pedals. Could you explain what that is and why we should have that?
There's a couple benefits to having the clip-in pedal, and one of them is that it allows you to use your full pedal stroke to move the bike. So not only are you pushing down, but it allows you to pedal up. And it can be a little bit scary for some folks because when you're clipped in, you're secure to the bike, and it makes it a little bit more difficult to put your foot down if you need to find balance real fast.
Yeah, I remember one of the first times I was learning to do clip-ins myself. When I came to a stop, I forgot that my foot wouldn't just come off, and I actually fell over the very first time that I was on a bicycle.
That's the rite of passage.
That was the first and last time I did that. I did not want to fall down again after that.
You learn quick after that.
You do. You do. Let's talk a little bit about, this is actually my bike right here. This is a carbon fiber frame is what this is. It's a very great technology. There's lots of different types of frames, including aluminum, titanium. Is there anything that you would recommend?
I think there's two schools of thoughts on frames.
Right.
And when you're purchasing a bike, you can go one of two ways. One, you can focus on the frame and buy a higher end, more expensive carbon type frame. The benefit to carbon is that it's light, it's very stiff, it gives an excellent ride, it absorbs some of the impact in the road, so it creates a smoother ride, similar to the way steel does. But steel is a very heavy frame, and they're not as many steel bikes out there anymore. So carbon fiber has taken over the steel frames. The other type of frame is an aluminum frame, and you can generally get those for a little less money. The frames are less expensive, they're still durable, but over time they wear out a little bit faster, so you start losing some of the efficiency in the bike because the frame becomes a little bit more softer, so to speak.
And you might even want to go out and test a couple of these different frames out first before you actually purchase something.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And most bike shops will have bike rental programs where you can test a carbon fiber bike versus an aluminum frame bike.
Let's talk briefly about the mechanical gear shifting. We have the old mechanical type, and then we have this new product called Di2, which is electronic shifting. It's kind of the new buzz right now in the bicycle world. Say a couple of things about that.
I think the electronic shifting is probably going to become standard over the years as the technology improves and becomes more affordable. I think you're going to see more bikes go towards that. Personally, I still like the feel of mechanical shifting. I think there's something to finessing the gears into place and having that influence over the bike in the ride.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much. And then, so let's talk about Denver. So here we are in Denver. There's a lot of people watching this from all over the country. But Denver and Colorado, wonderful place to ride a bicycle. Can you give us some tips on where you might ride right here in the Denver metro area?
There's lots of trails, great trails going along the highways, going through the towns. My recommendation is to find a bike shop close to you and see if they have organized group rides. And those organized group rides will have a group leader, and they will put you in a category depending on your skill level and allow you to join a ride under their guidance according to your skill level.
Yeah, let's talk about, speaking of organized rides, there's these organized races. They're not really races, they're sometimes called tours, like the bicycle tour and the Ride the Rockies and some of these different kinds of rides. Which ones would you recommend? Because it's quite inspiring when you sign up for one of these. Then you're all motivated to train, and all of that, so
I
speak about that a little bit.
I think before choosing one of these rides to train for and work towards, you should first look at the elevation charts and make sure you know what you're getting into. Rides like the triple bypass sound very exciting. You hear people talk about it a lot, but that's a very serious ride. So my recommendation is to, first of all, start off riding group ride, organized group rides on a weekly basis is an excellent way to get your.
You certainly don't want to get a triple bypass on the triple bypass road.
It's happening.
It's a wonderful ride, but there's a lot of great inspirational rides like that you can work yourself up to. Don't you agree?
Yeah. Start small and then make those bigger rides a goal in the future.
You might even just want to be a cruiser. You might just want to be a bicycle cruiser.
There's a lot of pub rides out there where you just ride from pub to pub. And that's a perfectly acceptable form of exercise.
There you go. There you go. Well, let's talk about bicycling. We know bicycling's fun. You see people riding bicycles all over more than ever. They got their helmets on and everything, and matching their bikes and all that.
Very important to match.
And the outfits.
Matching increases the output by 10%.
What would you say to the listening audience and our studio audience today? What would you say to inspire them to get out and ride this year in 2016 and beyond? What would you say about that?
I would say that number one, you have to look at on the bike, so matching your helmet and your bike. The second step is just to start small. Don't be intimidated by some of the longer rides that are available to you. You don't have to start off on 100-mile rides. You can start off with 5, 10, 20-mile rides and build your endurance up and just get out and have fun. Make it enjoyable for yourself.
Well, let's hear it for Ian Vandermeer. Thank you so much.